Okay, it's day 74. This is your Twitter report. Here's Mark Meadows, congressman, talking about Fusion GPS paying journalists. This is more evidence and verification of the assertions I made in my lawsuit that Fusion GPS is engaged in active journalistic payola or journo payola. So that's a little bit of independent verification there. I'm blocked from Brainy Blonde. We had a kind of a falling out over Jaquaya as being the key to the case. I still say it is. But she's got a lot of good tweets that people have been forwarding to me. And this Friedman guy, who I call the Pillsbury Doughboy, or the Doughboy, he had a biscuit company. And he used to work with the Clintons. And the whole thing was the sweets were inside the dough. And then they vacuum pack it and put it in plastic. And so he's the Doughboy. And he became a billionaire shipping dough around Eastern Europe. So he's the Doughboy. Well, he turns out to be also involved in the Alpha Bank. He's in Alpha Bank and just so happens to be accusing Trump in the Russia scandal. Hillary Clinton makes a map. She draws a map to her own conspirators. It's just the most unbelievable thing you can possibly imagine. It just couldn't be any easier. The PP dossier is a map to Hillary's own conspirators. Here's more Alpha Bank. This is Friedman, and this more Brainy Blonde. She goes in a good job and does all the connections way back to Bill Clinton and McClarty and all those guys, and I don't need to recover what she's already done. It's out there on the Twitter if you want to see the Twitter. Here's how you can't change the narrative. They want to change the narrative to this Papa Galapagos, and Papa Galapagos, this 24-year-old, was in the Galapagos Islands, and he was at the Gila bar, the Gila Monster bar, and he had a Mai Tai with some Australian guy. It's not going to change it. Trump's got 100 million on his Twitter, and he just needs to just tweet it out, and it just changes everything. And this is it. Classified passwords. Sorry about that. Classified passwords. Huma. Classified passwords. You could say classified Huma passwords. Classified passwords. Huma. Classified passwords. I mean, it's just 3 words and tells the whole story. So it's not going to, the Papa Galapagos, and it's just not going to make it. Now, looking at this, what I call the revolving door, the Courtyard Square revolving door. This is where the FBI did that raid, and we went out there. Task Force and I went out there. Of course, we had a lot of activity of people flying out of Dulles through Seattle, trying to get out of the country that day. It's amazing. But anyway, this is that 30 Courtyard Square, which I call the revolving door. Now, it's associated with this David Lang. Now, this David Lang is a CAIR lawyer, C-A-I-R, and yesterday I couldn't for the life of me. It's the Islamic Relations, so it's the Islamic Relations Organization. But inside, and this is again 1% or less than 1% doping of a really great organization, is this PAC ISI 111. And I'm not saying David Lang is that guy getting the PAC ISI their visas and passports, but man, is 930 a revolving door? Is 930 a revolving door or what? And then all the people that come through, if you're doing an investigation around, hey, terrorism is at this, revolving door on 930, you have to look at the whole courtyard. The whole courtyard. Usually what happens, and we've seen this from metadata analysis, is a cluster. There's 2 or 3 or 4. They usually face each other, so they give each other kind of their lookout. So if you had a quadrangle or a square, you would have one on each side of the square, that you can, 3-point lookout for any one point. That sort of thing. This is just basics, basic, lookout, right? So anyway, he comes in. We're just looking at some of these organizations. These people come in from Brazil, and they're involved in leasing companies and ticket service companies and all kinds of consumer services. Nothing wrong with that. Transportation and logistics companies. And they come in with names, and then they change their names when they come in. So this William Salamo, this William J. Salamo changes his name to William Salamo Jr., William J. Spencer. Usually when people go with a lot of different names, it's a lot of different aliases. That's typically not, is something that you would want to look into. And then there's a whole bunch of pictures. I won't show the pictures here. But, a lot of different, nicknames, Nino, Brazil. He's got this 3D tracking company, a 3D tracking company. I'm not saying that's planes. Airborne has a new service, planes and a constellation of nanosats, along with cell phone tracking of what you're tracking, those 3D. That's kind of the new thing, 3D tracking. I'm not saying that's what 3D tracking Brazil does, but it just kind of demands attention. And then here's this BJS William, JS at Netscape, going back. Just when people just start changing their name, I can understand people wanting to Americanize. That's fine. Here's another resident of that same 930 Courtyard, Sultani, and obviously that's going to be a name of interest. And they always